Hi everybody, welcome to Squirrel Pie Productions, my podcast about knitting, spinning, and sewing. My name is Tommi, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Dynamite Trujillo. Welcome to episode 21 of my podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to any new viewers. I am so happy you're here, and welcome back to any returning viewers. Thank you for coming back. Today is a very lovely sunny Friday in May on the Northern California coast where I'm coming to you from, and I have got some knitting stuff to talk to you about today. First, I'll let you know that we have a Ravelry group, and that is Squirrel Pie Productions in Ravelry. There is a link in the down bar, and that's where you'll find the show notes to this episode and all previous episodes. It's also where you'll find knit along news, and we are having a knit along right now. It is I almost said contrast cowl again. God. The contrast cowl was my first knit along, so maybe that's just always going to stick in my head. What is it? It's the mini scrap along. We're having the mini scrap along right now, and there is a thread for that in the Ravelry group, and it's a chatter and FO thread. You don't have to finish anything, so any pictures you post, any chatter you post in that thread is going to count for drawings for prizes. And the mini scrap along is where you can use minis or scraps or leftover yarn or fabric or fiber or pretty much anything, any small bits of materials that you want to use to incorporate into your projects. That's what this knit along, make along is all about. So go check that out. Also post photos on Instagram using the hashtag mini scrap along, and that will get you entered into the prize drawing as well. That's been a lot of fun. I have not worked on my mini scrap along project this week at all though, but I will show you what I have been working on. It is such exciting stuff. You guys, I love my projects this week. So fun. So fun. First, I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing. I am wearing two handmade items today. Me Made May. Killing it. I actually last week wore Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I wore handmade items to work. Yesterday, Thursday, I did not. But I was pretty proud of myself. 3 days in a row, that's pretty good. Today I'm wearing my Alabama Channon tunic. This was a tunic pattern out of Alabama Channon's book. I think it's just called Alabama Channon Patterns. But I will link to it in the show notes. And it's a jersey pattern written for, I think, like hand stitching. I didn't though, I machine stitched this. But this is a tunic. I love it. I love this fabric. It's like a kind of muted teal seagull print, and it's done in 4 panels. You can see there's a seam right down the middle. It's sleeveless. I love it. I really want to make another one. This was such a good pattern to sew. And then I'm also wearing my featherweight cardigan, which I love. And I've talked about that before. This is made out of a yarn company that I always forget the name of. It's in Oregon. I'm going to cheat. No, the tag's not facing up. I'm going to link to it in the show notes, and I'll put the name of the yarn down here because I can't remember what it's called. But it's fantastic yarn. It's a woolen spun natural yarn. I love it. It's 100% non-superwash wool, sport weight. Yeah, so that's my outfit, and I like it. I have a finished object. I finished my late August shawl. I'm so stoked. I'm so excited. So this is it. Check it, guys. This thing's big and lacy. So this is a pie shawl that I finished last weekend. It is the Late August pattern by Sylvia McFadden. This pattern was amazing. It was so fun. All of this lace stuff, so fun. Seriously, so fun. You should make it. You should just make it. I'm saying you should just make it. It took 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and I used Sincere Sheep in the Agleam base, which is 50% superwash merino, 50% tencel, in the Virid colorway. and it turned out to make a beautiful shawl. As I have talked about in previous episodes, I did not enjoy knitting with it that much because it was super sheddy. But because it has such a high tensile content, it's super drapey and super, what's the word? I want to say silky. It's not woolly at all. It's a really nice, it's gonna be a really nice warm weather shawl because it's cool to the touch. It's not like warm and woolly. It's very smooth and silky and cool. It's interesting, and I really think it's gonna make a good summer shawl. So it's this big giant pie shawl. I'm a huge fan of pie shawls. I love it so much, and it's got this really beautiful attached edging, and this was super fun to do. Here is this lace panel. Yeah. And then we've got that one. And in the middle is just a garter section. And I mostly didn't modify the pattern. I was going to modify it to make it bigger because there's an option in the pattern to make it bigger. And I had plans to do that, and I am really happy I didn't do that. I decided at the last minute I wasn't going to have enough yarn. So instead of doing the modifications to make it bigger, all I did was added a couple of garter rows towards the end just to kind of use up as much of my yarn as I could. And that worked out really well because, hold on. Where'd it go? There it is. That's all I had left. So this is 4 grams of yarn, and it took me towards the end of this thing 5 grams to knit 2 garter rounds. So I'm super stoked. I am a sucker for using every single last bit of my yarn, and having this kind of thing left over from a project, just like, it's like that, you know how they do studies? They've done studies where they found that people get like this release of endorphins every time they get a notification on their phone that like something has gotten liked, or they, I don't know, something like that. And it just gives you this, it's that like little like tingly rush of satisfaction. That gives that to me. Yes. I'm so excited that I got that. So it was perfect. It's not as big as I would like. I like how big it is. But in my fantasy world, it would be like twice the size. I love a huge, huge shawl. But it's great. It's just, it's so beautiful. I'm so happy with it. I want to make a million more pie shawls. Like I said last week, I want to make a black one. That would be my dream pie shawl. So it's beautiful. I love it. And seriously, highly, highly recommend the late August shawl pattern. It's, I can't even say in any more articulate words how great it is. It was just so fun. It was such a fun pattern. And I did this on a size 8 needle. The pattern called for a size 6, I think, maybe even a 5. I went up like a million needle sizes though. And that was based on some recommendations in other people's pattern pages, which is such a great resource. I love reading through other people's pattern pages before I start a project because you kind of get to see what other people have done to make it work for them, and it kind of gives me a better understanding of what I might need to do to make it work for me. And that's what happened here. A lot of people said they went up needle sizes to make the fabric looser. And a lot of people who used the recommended needle size in the pattern said that it came out kind of small and a little dense. So I went up, like I said, like a million needle sizes. I used an 8 for fingering wet yarn. And it is very open and very drapey and very loose. And I love it. It's just perfect. It's just freaking perfect. So I don't really know how I'm going to wear it. Pie shawls, I've only really made as blankets in the past. I've never made an actual shawl one. So here it is folded in half. And I don't know. We'll see. I'll play around with it. Oh, I love the colors. Look at that green. And this is yarn that my husband gave me as a Christmas gift last year. And it was the first time he's ever bought me yarn as a gift. Finally got through to him. So I'm just like super happy with this. I'm so happy to be done with it too. I was over knitting it by the end. Seriously. FO, check it. Works in progress. I am so stoked on my works in progress right now. I have 2, and that's it. Things that I'm actively working on, and I love them so much. They're both so fun. They're both really big, involved projects, and I love that. So, I showed you last week that I started a pair of socks using Moonstone Dyeworks, which is my hand-dyed yarn, in the floating colorway in my Stellina base, right? This is pretty much where I was last week. Well, if you can see, it's no longer attached to the cake because I stole it because I really wanted to use it for something else. So I left the sock as it was. I broke the yarn, started using the cake in another project, which I'm about to show you. And I figure I'm going to have yarn left over. And when I'm done, I'll just go back to knitting this and just use up the rest of it to finish these socks. So, without further ado, my most exciting project ever in the history of my knitting, I cast on the Exploration Station. This is my very first Stephen West pattern, and I am over the moon excited about it. Oh my god. I always knew I would like knitting Stephen West patterns, but I feel like as someone who hasn't jumped in yet, they're kind of intimidating. Mostly in my case because of the color choices. I have like I get to like a standstill if it comes to knitting a shawl with more than one color or 2 colors. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what colors to pick. Like, I don't know what to do. And I can't progress beyond choosing colors. So that's what's always held me back with Stephen West patterns, and I'm so happy I jumped into it. I'm so addicted. I literally am going to knit every one of his patterns after this. So, this is the Exploration Station by Stephen West, and this is where I'm at. I'm so excited about this. I love it so much. So I am using all Moonstone Dyeworks, again, my hand-dyed yarn company, and this color right here is the color that I stole for my socks because I really, really, really wanted to use it in a shawl. And I already had it caked up, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have left over enough to finish my socks. So I'm just in love with this, you guys. I love this. It's so fun. It's so fun. So let's show you what I've got. By the way, this is living in my Ghastly's bag, which houses my beautiful unicorn and taco progress keepers. I'm using different bases for this because it's what I had. Color A is this one. And this is an experimental base and an experimental colorway. So this is not currently available, but this is a single ply Stellina base. And I was super excited about it when I learned about it. I bought one test skein to dye, and this was it. So we'll see. I'm knitting with it now. I'm currently loving it. We'll see what I think about it after I block it. And I might start carrying it in the shop. I might not, though. At the moment, I love it. I do. This colorway, I decided this morning to call it Valerie. And I love this colorway. This is seriously one of my favorite colorways that I have come up with. I really, really like it. Unfortunately, I did not write down what I did, so we'll see if I can recreate it one day. This was just an experiment, and I totally should have wrote down what I did because I really like it. So this is color A, Valerie, and color B is Mild Envy. And this is a speckled tonal mint. This is on my Stellina sock base. Color C is Lover's Rock, one of my very first colorways. And this is on my merino fingering base. And this is a really pale mauvey pink with brown speckles. Color D, which is like my favorite, is Floating. And this is on the Stellina sock base. Colorway is Floating, and this is the one that I was knitting the socks out of. I really, really love this colorway. It's a really muted gray, like purple gray, with a really muted sort of, I want to say like a forest green as the tonal, with hot pink and purple speckles. I love it. So that's my exploration station, and I'm super duper excited about it. I have gotten mostly through the wedges, and next up I think is the brioche section. I actually don't know, I'm just guessing. I haven't read ahead. I'm just following it as I go. And color A is the stripes in between all of the wedges, and I seriously just love it so much. This has flown by. I have knit this so fast. It's so fun. I knew Stephen West patterns were going to be super fun, but I'm just totally blown away. I'm so in love with it. I'm obsessed with it. Obsessed. I just want to keep looking at it. Look at those eyelets too. So fun. Something I really, really like about this shawl that I've never done before, and it's just like, it feels so genius, and I feel like he's done this in other patterns too. I feel like I've heard it talked about before, and I've never experienced it, and I love it, is this I-cord edge. This is just so genius and so fun, and the edge it creates is just beautiful. It's so polished. I love it so much. There are 10,000 ends that will have to be woven in later, but that's okay. I really don't mind. I plan on weaving in some ends sooner rather than later, and I am knitting this on a size 6. These are my Knit Picks interchangeable wooden needles. Not my favorite needles, but all of my other size 6s are in use somewhere else right now. So that's what I'm using. And it's fine. It's working well. I've got it on the 40-inch cord, and it's already taken up the full cord. I know this thing is going to get a lot bigger, which is super okay with me because, like I said before, I like a really big shawl. Oh, I love it so much. Seriously, you guys, I'm going to talk about this later. I think later in my favorite section, all it's going to be is me listing every single Stephen West pattern that there is, because I want to knit them. We'll get to that later, though. Oh my god. Exploration Station. I am the very last person in the entire world to knit this thing, and I'm so happy about it. I'm a late adopter with everything. I always like to be the last person to discover something. My next work in progress is also super exciting. It's on the other end of the spectrum. It's a cardigan, and it's completely out of undyed natural wool. It's the Salal cardigan by Andy Satterlin, and it is my favorite garment I think I've ever knit, because it's awesome. So here I am. I have got the back done, the 2 front panels done, and everything all attached. So it has got this really beautiful lace section right at the front, and then the rest is just stockinette. And this yarn is amazing. I'm using Green Mountain Spinnery New Mexico Organic. It's It's a sport DK. For me, it knit up as a DK. I think on Ravelry it calls it a sport, but I'm using it as a DK. And the fabric it's giving me is just amazing. I just love it so much. It's this beautiful oatmeal brownish gray color. And it's amazing. So this is the Salal cardigan pattern by Andy Satterlin. I will pop a picture of it up here. It's from the Stranded magazine. I believe the fall winter edition, possibly 2016 maybe. I'll link to it in the show notes. And Andy Satterlin's garments are amazing. I love them. I have one that I've made already and I love it. It's another cropped cardigan. And this is going to be a cropped cardigan as well. And I cannot wait until it is done. I love it. I have like 5 skeins of this yarn and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to use like even close to that many. I'm on my 2nd skein right now and I still have most of it left. And I'm pretty close to, I think I'm probably about halfway done with the body. And then I have the sleeves and I still have 3 skeins to go. So I'm going to have some heavy leftovers from this project. And this yarn is beautiful. It's very buttery. It's very springy. It's very soft in a very sheepy lanolin-y sort of way. And it has got the most beautiful elasticity. Love it. Love it, love it. And this is where one of my other size 6 needles is living because this is on a US size 6. And these are my signature needles, which are pretty good. Also not my favorite needles. They're good. They're really good needles. I just happen to very much enjoy High Sharps, which are my favorite needles. Those size 6 needles are MIA. I know where they could be. I just haven't looked yet. I have a couple of languishing projects that they are probably in. So this is my 2nd size 6 of choice. And as you can see, as I'm fiddling with it down here, it swivels, which is a very lovely feature, in my opinion. So I highly recommend this pattern. It's very conversationally written, so you may, if you are anything like me, have to sort of rewrite the pattern as you go. Not really rewrite it, just kind of reorganize how the rows are laid out. That's what I have to do as I knit this pattern. I kind of have to number things, and off to the side I'll like number things and then group them and then number repeats for myself, because I use a row counter on my telephone. In case you were wondering how I keep track of my rows, I love this app that I use. It's called Knit Tink. I highly recommend it. I will just show you. That is... Oh, never tried to show my phone before on the podcast. This is weird. That's what it looks like. And that's the row counter I use. You can do pattern repeats as well. So you can enter in how many repeats or how many rows are in a repeat. And you just hit the plus button every time you get to a new row. And if you have 6 rows in a repeat, once you get to the 6th row, when you hit plus again, it goes back to 1 and it tells you what repeat you're on. It's awesome. I love that row counter. Highly recommend it. It lets you, it's free, and it lets you have like maybe 2 or 3 patterns going at a time, or projects going at a time, that you can have different counts for each project. You can name it and everything. And then if you pay like 99 cents or something like that, you can have unlimited projects, and that's what I did because I found that I needed it. And I love it. It's my absolute preferred method for row counting. I used to, before I discovered that app, I used to just do it by hand on a piece of paper with little 1 through 5 marks. I've never liked the actual little clicker counters, like the little clover ones. or the little ones that you turn the numbers for that you put on your thing. Anyway, I really like this app, so that's how I keep track of my rows. And that is living in my Fat Squirrel Fibers project bag with my blue pom-pom. And I freaking love this cardigan. It's really easy and also really addictive. Everything I've been working on this week has been like highly addictive. That's why I only have 2 works in progress, because I can't work on anything else. I can't. I just want to touch this stuff all the time. And that's all my knitting. That's actually all my crafting. I didn't do any sewing or spinning. I am a big fail on my own make-along. I didn't do any of my drop spindling with my Woolly Witch Rolags, which, by the way, is still an active store. A few episodes ago, I said that I thought she might not be selling anymore. I was so totally wrong. Thank you so much to the viewer who corrected me. I really, really appreciate that. She is up on Etsy. The Woolly Witch sells the beautiful Rolags that I have been working on for my mini scrap-along project, but I haven't touched it in a few weeks. I also haven't touched my crochet blanket, but I still love them. I'm just cheating on them a little bit right now with some other more new and exciting and shiny projects. And that's all I've been making. So I would like to thank everybody who showed up at my shop update last week. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time in checking my shop out. That's Moonstone Dye Works on Etsy. And just so you know, in case you're interested, all of the yarns that I showed today in my exploration station are all still available in my shop, Moonstone Dye Works on Etsy. So check that out if you want to. And again, a big, huge thank you to everybody who checked out the shop for the last update. The next update will be next Saturday. The date, I don't know what it is offhand, but I will put it down here. How about that? For my favorites this week, I am going to talk a little bit about some patterns that I want to knit. And obviously, it involves a lot of Stephen West patterns, because I am a convert. I am a new member of the cult of Stephen West. I will follow him wherever. I am probably going to knit his next mystery knit along, even though it's probably going to be really far into the future because one just ended. I've never completed a mystery knit along before. I started one a long time ago and I did not finish it because I didn't like it. And I've always been scared to do another one because I don't want to knit something that I'm not into surprises like that. But now that I'm all obsessed with Stephen West, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to go for it. Next mystery knit along he does, I think I'm going to do it. I am super tempted to cast on the Marled Magic, which was his previous mystery knit along that just ended. And I think I'm going to do it. I think I decided last night. I was looking at all of his patterns on Ravelry, and I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to cast on the Marled Magic. As soon as I'm done with the exploration station, that one is going on the needles. I have a bunch of scraps still, and I'm spinning more, so that's happening. That's absolutely happening. I also really want to make the eyeball shawl. And his brand new cowl, he just came out with a cowl called the Honey Brioche cowl, I think. I love it. I'm totally going to make that someday. Yeah. I also really want to do his Lumpy Space shawl. And what's that other one called? That one other, I think it was another mystery knit along. It's a big triangular one. Yeah. But next up, I'm making the Marled Magic. I'm also making the eyeball shawl. That stuff is happening. For sure. I also really want to make this cardigan that Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast and Ellie from the Skein Deer podcast are doing a knit along for. I don't know the name of it because it is not in English, so I can't retain it, but I will put it down on the screen. It's a colorwork cardigan. It's a steeked colorwork cardigan, and it is gorgeous. I've never made, have I? No, I have never made a colorwork cardigan. I've never steeked. I have done a bit of color work, and I do love it. I love doing color work, and I've always wanted to do like a yoked cardigan, and I'm super tempted seeing them getting started on making this cardigan, and I don't know. I really want to make it, but I kind of don't want to buy a whole bunch of new yarn to make it. So I'm probably going to make it. I don't know. It does sound fun to like go on the internet and just have a vast array of colors to choose from instead of trying to go through my stash to pick colors. So we'll see. I really want to make that. I also really want to make, it got me thinking about colorwork sweaters that I've wanted to make in the past. That one was new to me, but something I've wanted to make for a really long time is the Miss Rachel's Yoke by I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but she's like that amazing designer that designs amazing things. Really? Oh well, I'm lame. I'm gonna put her name down here. It's not like she watches this. I'm sure she does not watch me. But I apologize anyway. I'm a huge fan of yours and I love you, but I forget your name right now. So anyway, the Miss Rachel's Yoke sweater, it's a pullover and it's gorgeous, and she sells kits in her own yarn that she came out with that I've always wanted to try. And so I was kind of looking at that last night too. But we'll see. I'm still working on my Salal cardigan, and once that's off the needles, then I can start thinking about my next sweater. And it might be one of those. I don't know. We'll see. And that's it. I'm really good at ending this podcast, I've discovered. By saying, okay, I'm done. Anyway, that is all I have for you this week. I hope you guys are having a really beautiful, lovely week. It is really getting deep into spring, and that's pretty amazing. This year is freaking flying by. This month is freaking flying by. But it's May, and it's my favorite month, and in like a week and a half, it's my birthday, which is my favorite day of the whole entire year, so I'm super excited. Also another really exciting thing that happened this morning was that there was a chick update. So we got chicks 2 weeks ago. We got 13 chicks, and they have just graduated from their garage home, chick setup home, to the backyard. So my husband and I built a mobile coop and finished it last night and put it outside, and this morning we threw them all out there, and they were so excited. At first they were like, what's this? What's happening? I don't know what to do. But they warmed up really, really quickly, and it's really sunny today, so they're out there in the sun, and they're so cute. They're like huge. They're like this big now, which I don't know if you can tell how big that is, but it's big. They're 3 weeks old now, I think. Might be 3.5 or 4 weeks old. I think they're 3 weeks old. But yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go because that's all I have to say. And I hope you liked this week's episode. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to be kept up to date on future episodes, join the Ravelry group, join the mini scrap along. Have fun, stay awesome. Love you guys. Bye.